In this video, we will show you how to find sample briefs using the Minnesota State Law Library's Briefs Archive. Briefs are a great tool to use when you are researching and writing your own appellate brief. Writing an appellate brief can be a complicated process. We have a separate video, Informal Appellate Briefs, that covers the steps in writing your own brief. But seeing examples of briefs written by others can help you understand the formatting, sections, and types of information you should include in your own brief. You can also use the sample briefs as a research tool. Briefs cite to cases, statutes, and court rules, and you can use those citations to help kickstart your own research. The easiest way to find sample briefs is using the Minnesota State Law Library's Briefs Archive. The Briefs Archive contains appellate briefs that were filed in Minnesota Supreme Court and Minnesota Court of Appeals cases since 2002. Generally, the briefs come from cases where there was a published or precedential opinion. For more information on what these terms mean, see our video on finding case law. The easiest way to get to the archive is from the library's homepage, pictured here. Under Quick Links, choose Briefs. This will open the search page for the Briefs Archive. There are several ways to use our Briefs Archive to find sample briefs. You can start by doing a keyword search. For example, if you were looking for cases about moving your children out of state during a child custody case, you could try a search like Move Out of State Custody, then press the Enter key on your keyboard or click on the search button. You will then see a list of results below that includes short extracts from the brief. If you see a brief you would like to read, click on the link. You may end up with a large number of results. The results are sorted by relevance, so the most relevant results will appear at the top. You won't necessarily have to review hundreds of results to find helpful briefs. If there is a statute at issue in your case, you can search for briefs interpreting that statute using the Briefs Archive. In the keyword search box, type in the number of the statute in your case. For example, if your case involves a vehicle forfeiture as a result of a DWI under Minnesota Statute 169A.63, you could type in 169A.63, then press the Enter key on your keyboard or click on the search button. You will then get a list of cases that cite to that statute. If you have already found a useful case in your case law research, it can be a good idea to look up the briefs for that case. Finding the briefs from a relevant case can help you identify applicable law and create your argument. To find the briefs for a specific case, you will need the docket number, usually something like A12-3456, or the Northwestern Reporter site, which usually looks something like 123 NW2D 456. To search by the docket number, type in the number in the search box and press the Enter key on your keyboard or click the search button. You will then get a list of briefs filed in that case. If you do not see any results, the briefs may not have been added to the archive. Contact the Minnesota State Law Library for assistance. If you are searching for a Minnesota Supreme Court case, you might notice that you get multiple appellants or respondents' briefs. This is because the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court use the same docket number for both stages of the appeal. You can tell the briefs apart by looking at the court name at the end of the brief title. To search by citation, enter the volume number in the first box under citation. The volume number will be the numbers that appear before NW in the citation. Next, use the drop-down menu labeled Reporter to choose the reporter you want to see. Finally, enter the page number in the citation box. The page number is the numbers that appear after the reporter in the citation. Once you have filled in all of these blanks, press the Enter key on your keyboard or click on the search button. You will then see a list of briefs filed in that case. If you do not see any results, the briefs may not have been added to the archive. Contact the State Law Library for assistance. Coming up with search terms can take some trial and error. You may need to try different combinations of words or use synonyms to find what you are looking for. You can also add words like granted or denied if you want to see a specific result. Here are some other advanced search tips to consider. If you want to search for a phrase, put the phrase inside quotation marks. For example, type quotation mark order for protection quotation mark instead of just order for protection. If you want to search for multiple variations on a word's spelling, use an asterisk to substitute other letters. For example, you could type HARASS asterisk to search harass, harasser, harassment, harassing, and so on. To search multiple terms in one search, use connectors like and, or, and not. You will need to write these words in all caps for the archive to recognize these as connectors. For example, if you wanted to search for cases about searches of a car, you could try a search like search and vehicle or automobile. You can find these search tips and more by clicking on the Help tab. Remember, you may need to try multiple searches to find what you are looking for. Legal research can be complicated, but the State Law Library is here to help. If you have questions about searching the Briefs archive, you can contact our Ask a Librarian service for help. As librarians, we can't give you legal advice, but we can show you how to use the Briefs archive and suggest other helpful resources. If you want to talk to a lawyer about your brief, you can make an appointment for our Appeals Self-Help Clinic. More information about this clinic is available on our website. Thank you for watching, and happy researching!